Hello, my name is Michael Mills, and I'm one of the Senior Business Development Specialists with TouchStone Business Systems. I've prepared for you a tutorial focused on how to create a process-dependent business. A business that runs smoothly, profitably, just as you expected it would. A business that doesn't depend on you always having to be there to do the work. Many of you listening to this have probably already read Michael Gerber's book, The EMyth Revisited, Why Most Businesses Fail and What to Do About It. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. In the eMyth book it says, and I paraphrase, every frustration in your business is the result of a lack of a system, that if it were there, you would no longer have that frustration. This is very good theory, and it is well presented in the book. So why is it then that so many business owners, after having read the book, and there have been over 1 million copies sold, why is it that they failed to implement systems in their business? One reason is the lack of a systems development plan. If you take what's written in the book literally, the business owner begins to focus on frustrations. They think, well, here's a frustration, I'll create a system for that. Then they see another frustration, and they create a system for that, and so on. There is no systems development plan. There is a focus on frustrations. And how frustrating is that? In most cases, the business owner is sabotaging their intent to systemize their business from the very get-go. A second reason is the lack of a tool to successfully develop and implement systems in your business. In this tutorial, I'm going to discuss how to create a plan for developing systems in your business, and then I'll show you how to actually do that using a clever, inexpensive online tool called the TouchStone Business System. Let's begin by answering the questions, what is a process-dependent business, and why would you want it that way? A process-dependent business is one in which all of the business's activities are done consistently. Business activities are all of the key activities of the business. How you generate leads, how you convert prospects into sales, how you deliver on the promises made in your sales process, how you do your invoicing, your accounts receivable, your accounts payable, how you do your collections, how you recruit, hire, and train. When we talk of business activities, we're talking about all of the key activities in your business. These business activities produce results. And there is a cause and effect relationship with business activities and the results they produce. If they're done consistently, they'll generate consistent and meaningful results. We always hear that business is a numbers game. Well, it's true. If the tasks in your business are done inconsistently, they'll generate inconsistent, meaningless results. The goal is to bring consistency to all of your business activities. You do this by having documented processes. In larger businesses, they're called standard operating procedures, or SOPs. They're used for training new employees, as well as having accountable expectations for existing employees. If something's not going right, you go back to the system to find out why. The results of business activities are tracked and consolidated into reports that are then analyzed and used to make decisions to manage and control the business activities. As a result, you have this cyclical picture, a business in which you're in control rather than a business that is in control of you. You can speed things up, or you can slow things down if necessary. You can proactively guide and control the business's development and achieve reliable expectations. So let's begin with the first thing that's missing that can help you systematize your business, a systems development strategy. There are 5 steps to creating this plan. The first step is to identify all of the tasks of your business. Don't worry about documenting these processes at this point. Your first step is simply to understand the scope of the project. What are all of the systems that need to be built? For example, ask yourself, how do we get new clients? Your answer might be, well, word of mouth, referrals. We do some direct mail. We do a monthly newsletter. And we do some cold calling. When we reach a qualified prospect, or when they contact us, we schedule an appointment so we can start building a relationship and determine their needs and their pain. Then we prepare an estimate, call them back, schedule another appointment to present the proposal, and then we close the sale or continue with a following up process. That's pretty easy, right? What have you discovered? You've discovered that you have a referral system, a direct mail system, a newsletter system, a telemarketing system, an appointment scheduling system, a needs identification system, a proposal presentation system, a contract completion system, and a prospect follow-up system. These are all of the existing systems in your business. They're not yet written down, but they will be. the first step is simply to create the systemic structure of your business, a picture of your business in terms of its systems. Okay, so now you've listed most of the sales systems. What's the best way in defining the rest of the processes in your business? Think of your business as having 4 core functions: getting the business, all of the sales and marketing systems, what we just did; doing the business, which is all about delivering on the promise made in the sales process, systems for client fulfillment, operations, customer services, basically all of the systems that directly relate to what you do for your clients. Then there are all of the activities that go on behind the scenes, like invoicing, paying your bills, collections, hiring, firing, preparing financial statements, budgeting, cash flow projections, essentially all of the financial and administrative systems, as well as your HR and IT functions. We call this running the business. And finally, the strategic systems for managing and leading the business from where you are today to where you want to get to, the category that we call guiding the business. Just as we did with sales and marketing or getting the business, think of each of these 4 key functions separately and consider all that you do in each specific area. Just list all of the tasks, as many as you can think of. Remember, this step is simply about identifying and naming all of the systems in your business so you can begin to understand the scope of the project ahead of you. While you can do this on your own, TouchStone Business Systems has created a quick and easy method for completing this step. Their TouchStone tool has a library of process names, so once you register for an online account, you can access their systems library and pick and choose from an extensive list of processes to help you fill out your own infrastructure of systems. I thought I would log into a new TouchStone account to demonstrate how easy this is to accomplish. When I first log in, I come to the Control Panel or Home page. I'm going to save the explanation of this part of the program for another tutorial. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to focus on building a database of systems. I'm going to click on the tab marked 4 Functions, and I'll start building a list of my sales systems, or what TouchStone categorizes as getting the business. When I click on this core function, I'm presented with 2 sub-functions or subcategories. I can either keep these categories, or I can change them or add to them. This section is completely customizable and will depend on what it is that you do in your business to generate and convert sales. I'm going to edit what is presented to me here and add a third because this makes the most sense to me for my business. To begin then, I'm going to edit the sub-function called Marketing and change it to Target Market Development. To do this, I will move my cursor over the term sub-function on the title bar. I'll choose to edit a sub-function, and I'm going to rename the term marketing to Target Market Development. I'm going to add another sub-function, what I'm going to call Advertising and Lead Development. And again, this is simply because when I think of getting the business, I like to have 3 different categories of sales and marketing systems. Target market development, which is really the research side of sales, a set of systems for trying to figure out who are my best prospects, how do they think, where are they located, and what can I say to attract them. These systems help me to develop a targeted message to a specific group of people. When I put that message out there in the appropriate channel, that's advertising and lead development, which I anticipate will attract my best prospects. When these prospects call me, I convert them into clients. I sell them, and this is what I call sales conversion. Okay, now I'm going to click on the Systems library here. I'm going to choose the General Processes library. To begin with, I'm going to focus on Target Market Development. I'm going to select the proper sub-function, Target Market Development, and then I will choose systems from the library that are applicable to this sub-function. For example, I'm going to choose the systems named Target Market Development, Trading Area, and Website Maintenance and Development. All these are systems that I need for understanding my best prospects, my best opportunities. I click on Add, and these systems are now saved in the Target Market Development subcategory or sub-function of my TouchStone application. Now I'm going to go back up to the Systems library and again choose General Processes, This time I'm going to download systems for advertising and lead development. I'll need to change the subfunction name to advertising and lead development, and then I'll think of all of the processes I do to generate interest in my business. Processes like direct mail, newsletters, sponsored search. I have strategic alliances, and I have a referral process. These are the systems I use for advertising and lead development. I'm going to save those, and you'll see that it puts them in the appropriate subfunction. Finally, I'm going to add the systems I use for converting leads into sales. Again, I'm going to go up to the title bar, place my cursor over the Add from Systems Library term, and choose the General Processes Library. I'm going to change my subfunction to Sales, and then I'm going to pick specific sales systems. When we sell, we do a consultative selling process. We often have contracts and proposals. We qualify our leads at the very beginning of the process, and we do sales follow-up. We report on our sales indicators, and we schedule appointments for sales presentations. And we have sales response modules for handling objections. As you can see, I can choose any of these different processes and add them to my own TouchStone account, and I can always come back to the library and add more systems at a later date. Once you've reviewed all the systems in the list in their General Processes library, consider other processes that you're currently doing that may be unique to your business or the way you simply do things. Chances are there are systems that are part of your business that are not in this general list of systems. For example, I have a system called Client Fulfillment Calls, a system that is pretty unique to my business. I want to add that process to my sales subcategory or subfunction, so I click on the term Add New Process on the title bar, and I enter the process named Client Fulfillment Calls. This is then saved and stored in my sales area. And there you have it. In a matter of minutes, I've roughed up all of the systems I have for getting the business. Next, I would carry on with each of the other 4 core functions. I would click on the 4 Key Functions tab, and then I would drop into each of these other 4 core areas until I had completely identified all of the systems in my business. It's as easy as that. In less than an hour, you should be able to have listed all of the different systems in your business and built a very good systemic infrastructure
with the systems
or a
development
systems
strategy,
blueprint
5
of your
simple steps.
business. At this point, you will have a list of systems, the systemic structure of your business. This list might be 50 systems or 150 systems, and you'll now be able to see the scope of the project ahead of you. Which brings us to the next step, prioritizing the systems list. I like to use a sort of Stephen Covey approach to this step. I use 3 categories, A, B, and C. All those really critical systems I'll categorize with an A. Those systems that if they never got documented, it wouldn't be really the end of the world, I categorize as C. And all the rest get a B. There can be lots of different logic to be applied to this step. You might, for example, be about to hire a new salesperson. If you don't have your sales processes documented, I'd make this a high priority. It's going to make training that salesperson so much easier, and armed with and trained in your sales processes, the salesperson will be that much faster in getting up to speed and making you money. Or maybe you're finding that you're spending too much time bogged down in administrative activities, that if you had the processes documented, you could delegate that activity to someone else in the business, thereby freeing up some of your time to do more high-value activities like sales or client fulfillment. However you prioritize your systems list, the next step is to start writing them using this prioritized list and then managing the writing process. This can be as simple as enrolling others in your business to help you with the writing of your processes, essentially getting their agreement to complete specific systems and then following up with them to make sure the task was accomplished and to review what they've written. Next, you want to implement the documented process. Every time you finish writing a system, put it to use. Once people start using processes, they'll see how useful they are. They'll start thinking systematically, and you'll find that more and more systems will be written by more and more employees in your company. And most importantly, don't forget to monitor and track the results of those employees using the systems. This is really a management function, and depending on how many employees you have, it may mean you, the business owner, is managing all of the functional areas of the business. It's a critical step. It's not a difficult one. It's simply overlooked by most business owners. They think that once they've got the systems in place, that is all there is to it, and they never ask the people running the systems for the results. Your business is the biggest investment that you have. Maximize its value and get it just the way you want it. To hear more about our TouchStone Systems writing services, dial 707-522-6250, or you can email us at sales@businessdesigncorp.com or visit us on the web at www.businessdesigncorp.com. Get the business you deserve.